What's going on, everybody? It's Kanye. In today's video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Today, we're actually going to be on the next-gen version of 2K22. We're going to be doing a team rebuild in the My NBA mode. I got the idea to do this. I was inspired. One of my favorite YouTubers, KOT4Q, does these rebuilds all the time, and I thought it looked like it'd be something fun to do. So we're going to be doing a rebuild. I'm choosing the Los Angeles Lakers just because that was a team that was expected to be dominant. I mean, they have LeBron and AD, and they traded for Westbrook, and they did not even make the playoffs. So I figured that'd be a good team to rebuild for our first one. My plans for this is just kind of go through teams around the league and try to do every team at some point and do a rebuild and, try to win a championship within one season. These are one-season videos. We're going to play one season. If I win the championship, I do. If I don't, I don't. And we'll kind of keep track of my record amongst all the teams, how many I'm able to get a championship for. Also, I'm moving on from that. I'd also like to do, some challenge rebuilds where, one, for example, I have that I'm going to try to do is create an expansion team and try to win as many championships as I can within a 5-year sim with an expansion team. If y'all have some other ideas, maybe, leave a comment for a challenge I could do on a rebuild. But yeah, the reason I'm doing this is I want to try to start posting more regularly, and in order to do so, I need to kind of expand where my content comes from. I still primarily do want to do, build videos and my career-related stuff, and I'm going to actually do some next-gen build videos as well. But I want to kind of expand on the content so I have more things to create. I can kind of let my creative instincts flow, and I can bring you all some more stuff to watch. But with that being said, let's get into this video. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at our roster here. So obviously we have LeBron and we have AD. We have Westbrook on this huge contract. We've got Melo, Dwight Howard, Monk, Nunn, and then there's just a big drop-off in talent. Austin Reeves and Talon Horton-Tucker are going to have some value because they're young guys. But the biggest thing is the only player on this team that I'm considering to be safe is LeBron, and he might not even be safe. We're definitely going to look to trade AD, very injury prone. Now, in my rebuild videos, I am going to have injuries turned off, but regardless, I just don't like this pairing. I want to have more shooting around LeBron, and he's going to be our primary facilitator. So I'm going to make LeBron's secondary position point guard, and we're going to have him kind of, running the one a lot. And so we want to have all shooters around him. And we're going to try to dump off some of these bigger contracts. We're going to try to upgrade the bench. But to get started, I'm going to go ahead, and we're going to go to the trade finder. And I'm going to see what I can get for Anthony Davis and a young guy like Talon Horton-Tucker. And we'll just see what kind of offers come up. So, obviously, first offer, CJ McCollum, Jonas Valanciunas. That would be a decent pickup. Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and then Pokusevski. James Wiseman, Klay Thompson. So I don't really like any of those, so we're going to kind of go a little bit deeper into this. What I might do is try to get a better secondary player to pair with Davis by trading some of these other guys. And then we're going to keep trying to move up and eventually get us, a solid starting five. So right here off the rip, we can trade Talon Horton-Tucker, Russell Westbrook, and Dwight Howard, and we can get both Chris Middleton and Jrue Holiday on the team. Since this is a 1-year rebuild, I'm not too worried about age and stuff like that. We can have an 85 and an 86 for basically nothing. Because Russell Westbrook isn't that good. Dwight Howard's solid, but he's only a 78, and Talon Horton-Tucker's not even going to be in our rotation. So I'm going to go ahead and make this trade. Let's go look for a player that we think might be good to pair with LeBron. Literally any player, it technically would be considered good to pair with LeBron, but I'm looking for a really good fit and somebody I can trade Anthony Davis for. KD at the 4, we might be able to swing that. If that's the case, I'd want to trade Chris Middleton for a 5. We could try to go after someone like either a James Harden might be a fun one. We could go after James Harden, move him back to the 2-guard spot. We could go after Jimmy Butler, play him at the 2-guard spot. The biggest thing is if I trade for any guard, I'm going to have to trade for a center using Chris Middleton, which really wouldn't be that bad. Karl-Anthony Towns would be a great guy to have next to LeBron, so we're going to add him to the target list. But then I think I want to go up here, and I want to target one of these good shooting guards. Let's go ahead and add James Harden to the list. Again, we're just doing a 1-year rebuild, so age really isn't that important. We'll add Devin Booker to the list as well. And then the last one is Jimmy Butler doesn't have much of a shooting ability, so we're not going to add Jimmy Butler to the list. We'll do James Harden and we'll do Devin Booker. We'll try to get one of those two. If we can't, I'm going to also add a guy that is one of my favorite players, probably my favorite player in the league. We're going to add Donovan Mitchell to the list. I think Donovan Mitchell will be a great player to have next to LeBron because he's just a pure scorer. Let's go ahead and let's try to get one of these guys that we have on our list here. Donovan Mitchell's a 4-star, so I think he's the first guy we go after. So I'm going to actually propose a trade to the Jazz. I'm not going to do the trade finder. So let's go over to the Jazz. And we're going to ask for Donovan Mitchell. He's on a $28 million contract, which is huge because that means he's no longer on his rookie, so it's going to be easier to get him. I think to start, let's go ahead and just try to get him for Jrue Holiday. I think we can, possibly make this work. We don't have first-round draft picks to trade, so I'm going to have to try and figure out something there. But this is something I want to happen. So let's see. Monk and Nunn both have 2-star value. Let's go down to the bottom of their team and try to get some guys with low value. Worst comes to worst, I'll sign some guys and try to get some draft picks to start pairing with this as well. Hopefully we can make it work. So let's go ahead and let's do a trade finder, and let's try to trade some of these smaller players and get some first round picks and some better assets to go along with some of our other players. So that way maybe we can pull Donovan Mitchell onto this team. Let's see. Keldon Johnson's a 3-star. He might be a decent guy to go after. Let's see if we can get Keldon Johnson, not Cameron Payne. Let's see if we can get Keldon Johnson on the team. Let's see if there's a way to get him for a cheaper value player. Maybe someone like Stanley Johnson, and then we throw in DJ Augustine, and you guys throw in a low-rated player like Wieskamp. Can we make that work? A counteroffer. Malik Monk, can you give me Devontae? Can you give me someone other than Devontae? Romeo Langford has value, but he's a $3.8 million player, so we can't do that. What about Trey Jones? Could I get Trey Jones? Kent Bazemore, he's going to have no value. Yeah, we'll make that trade. So now we've got a little bit more of trade pieces, but I also want to do this. Let's go to the free agent market, and we'll bring in some free agents that I can trade for draft picks. So that could be beneficial to us. We'll get Frank Kaminsky. We'll get Ennis Freedom. So let's go ahead and start off and get that 2023 pick, because that's going to be one of the better picks we can get. Can I get it without throwing in the second? No, they want the second. Okay. And let's do another trade finder for Frank Kaminsky. Can I get a first-round pick out of Frank Kaminsky? There's a 2026 first-round pick in Chetty Osman. There's a 2022 first-round pick in Killian Tilly. That pick's pretty valuable. We'll go ahead and get it. Let's go to the free agent market. Well, actually, let's do a double trade and try to create another roster spot so we can go to the free agent market. So let's go Kendrick Nunn and Carmelo Anthony. What can we get for that? So let's go ahead and try to make this Cameron Johnson trade. I think that they should give us another player of value. Can we get Mikal Bridges in exchange for Trey Jones? We'll add the exception. I'll throw in a pick here. They think they're championship contenders, so that's not going to happen. Okay, guys, so I've upgraded some of our assets, got some draft capital. Now we're going to try to get Donovan Mitchell again on the team. Hopefully we're able to do it. If not, we'll move on to someone else. But I'm really hoping we're able to make this work. I'm going to offer them Donovan Mitchell. I'm going to offer him Carmelo. I'm going to offer him Jrue Holiday. I'm going to offer him Carmelo Anthony. Let's see if that's enough. If I just give them these picks, maybe that'll be enough to put it over the hump here, and we can get a hold of Donovan Mitchell. If I give them these 3 picks, counteroffer, Killian Tilly, and they give me Bogdan Bogdanovic. Oh my gosh. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, I'll do that trade. Let's see if we can find a good point guard that we want to bring in now that we had to trade Jrue. So point guards that are actually realistic for us to go for. We could possibly go after Chris Paul. Let's add him to the list. Their team is going for the championship, so he might be hard to get a hold of. We could add Darius Garland to the list. And then I think Shea could be decent, but the problem is Shea is not a good shooter. Maybe C.J. McCollum. Him and Donovan Mitchell side by side could be decent. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's it. We're done with James Harden. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Let's go to the Suns and see if Devin Booker is more affordable, because that is absolutely insane. Devin Booker, $31 million. Anthony Davis, can we go straight across with them? Would they do that trade? Okay, championship. Is the deal is too good to pass up? So if I give you all these first-round picks, is that a deal is too good to pass up? That's the question. If I give you all these first-round picks and I throw in Mitchell Robinson, and you give me a $1 million player that's garbage, Bismack Biyombo. Okay, so Devin Booker's not going to work because we're giving them a ton, and they think they're a championship contender. So we're going to take James Harden off, Devin Booker off. So now the options are, let me go back and look. I honestly, at this point, want to run Donovan Mitchell at the 1. I've talked myself into it. So we want to find a player, a good 2 guard to put next to LeBron and Donovan Mitchell that can shoot the rock and is going to be able to just play at a high level. Zach LaVine would be a great option. Paul George will be an affordable option. And then let's put CJ McCollum on the list because we can move him back to the 2. Let's go after Paul George. If there's a good trade finder for Paul George, maybe I can use him in a way to upgrade to oh, here we go. Paul George for Chris Middleton and a 2022 first-round draft pick, or we could give up Donovan Mitchell or Mitchell Robinson and Chris Middleton. So we're going to do this trade right here. We're going to try to take this off and see what they do. Okay, we're going to do that trade. So we just upgraded to Paul George at the 2 guard, so we no longer need Chris Middleton. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to trade finder Mitchell Robinson and see what we get for him. And if we can get a decent upgrade on a player, our 22 first-round pick, that would be huge. Miles Bridges. That's huge. Okay. Trade finder. Now we're going to do Mitchell Robinson. Or no, Bojan Bogdanovic. So we got Miles Bridges. We still have Anthony Davis. Remember that. So now we've got Bojan Bogdanovic. We're going to try and trade him and upgrade. We get Clint Capella. We got to give up a first-round pick. Can I do it without giving up a first-round pick? If I take this off and this off, what do I have to do? First round pick for a second. I don't want to do that. Can I throw you in a crappy player? Javon Carter. I'll give you Javon Carter, not crappy player, but I don't use him. You give me back Skylar Mays. Can we make that work? 2026 first round pick, LA unprotected. Sure, it's a 2026 pick. It's not worth anything. Okay, so now our starting lineup is Donovan Mitchell, Paul George, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Clint Capella. We've got Miles Bridges off the bench. I'm going to make this Timberwolves trade work. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to make it happen. We're definitely keeping LeBron, Donovan Mitchell, Paul George, but we're going to make this trade happen. I'm going to give them Clint Capella. I'm throwing everything but the kitchen sink at these guys. And then I'm going to give them Isaiah Thomas, and I'm going to give them Skylar Mays, and you're going to give me back a guy you're paying too much money in Taurean Prince, and you're going to give me back Malik Beasley, who you're paying too much, and then you're going to give me McLaughlin. And you're going to say yes after I throw in this first-round pick. I know you are, because you want it. You want this trade. No, you don't. Well, what about the second? Now you want it. Oh, my gosh. We've got to be so close. We've got to be so close. If I take him off and him off, oh, man. We can't be far. We can't be far. Okay, guys. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to trade for some more assets, and then we're going to make this AD trade AD to Karl Anthony Towns trade happen, and then we're going to start with the season, I promise. All right, guys. So I've made some adjustments, try to get some guys that could help us out here. Hopefully we can make this trade work now, and we got it. So now we officially have Karl Anthony Towns on the team. Our roster looks like this. So we've got Donovan Mitchell, Paul George, Miles Bridges, and Karl Anthony Towns on the bench. We've got Earl Jenkins, Hassan Whiteside, Taurean Prince, and Kenrich Williams. Lastly, I want to just go ahead and upgrade our bench just a tad, and then we will be good to go. So our final game plan, we've got Donovan Mitchell, Paul George, LeBron James, Miles Bridges, Karl Anthony Towns. That's a lot of good shooting around LeBron, which is what I wanted. A lot of good defense as well. We got Montrezl Harrell, Earl Jenkins, Kenrich Williams, Terrence Mann, and then we have some good, decent backups here. Help defense, run plays. We're going to go down to 35 on that. We're going to lower the run plays frequency down to like 70 because I want them to kind of go freestyle with it as well. First scoring option, I think we obviously want that to be LeBron. Actually, we don't want that to be LeBron. Let's just play through our stars, and we'll just kind of see what happens here. LeBron can average 30 points a game, but we also want him to be facilitating. So I think we're going to be just fine there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start the simulation. I'll go till about the trade deadline. We'll see how the team's doing. And then, if the team's not doing well by the trade deadline, then we'll go ahead and we'll try to make some more moves. Start off the first week 2-1, so that's a good sign. But yeah, I'll see you all at the trade deadline. All right, guys. So we're at the trade deadline, and we are the first rank in the conference, first in the power rank. So let's go ahead and take a look at the standings as well as our stats. So NBA standings, we hold a solid lead on first place with the 41-15 record. The second best team in the league is the Nets with the 37-19 record, so we're still ahead of them pretty good. When we take a look at our stats, our player stats, Donovan Mitchell averaging close to 30 points a game, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Great shooting splits. LeBron in second with also great shooting splits, averaging 20, 7, and 8. Paul George playing really well with 19 points, 7 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. Karl Anthony Towns, 18, 9, and 4. And then Montrezl Harrell coming off the bench for us, putting up big numbers with 10 and 7. Miles Bridges, our starting power forward, with 8, 4, and 3. And, you know, we honestly needed a guy in that starting rotation that's not going to shoot as much. His shooting splits aren't great. I might look to upgrade him. Honestly, with how the team's going, I would hate to move him and have him take away shots from these other guys. So we're just going to stick it out. You know, we are in a great spot. We're ahead significantly. So we're going to stick it out and just see how the rest of the season goes. As far as like the All-Star stuff, I'll go ahead and show you that. NBA All-Star, the All-Star teams. We had LeBron on an all-star team. Donovan Mitchell should have made one, and I don't think he did. Donovan Mitchell got snubbed. But we have Karl Anthony Towns on an all-star team. We have LeBron on an all-star team. I don't know if Paul George made one this year. I don't think he did. And then, obviously, Donovan Mitchell got snubbed with just under 30 points a game. But you know what? It happens. It happens, I guess. For our award races, currently where we're at in the season, LeBron is 4th in MVP voting. For Rookie of the Year, we've got Cade in the lead. Sixth Man of the Year is Ben Simmons currently. For our defensive players, Giannis, and our most improved is Tyrese Maxey. So maybe LeBron can sneak up there. His points per game would have to go up a lot. I think Luka or Giannis is going to win it easily. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and sim to the end of the season, and then we'll go through the playoffs, and hopefully we can win us a championship. So I'll see you there. All right, so we're here at the end of the season. We ended up first in the conference and first in the power rank, as we were at the trade deadline. So we had a consistent season, a great season overall. Luka Doncic did win the MVP as we expected and as was predicted. Cade Cunningham, Rookie of the Year. Ben Simmons, Sixth Man of the Year. Giannis, Defensive Player of the Year. Tyrese Maxey, Most Improved. So those stayed the same after the trade deadline. They didn't change up to that point. Our Coach of the Year was Frank Vogel, which is our coach, and Sean White, which was us. We got Executive of the Year with a 62-20 record, which is really good. As far as our all NBA teams, we didn't have anybody on the first team, but we did have Donovan Mitchell and LeBron on the second team, and then we didn't have anybody on the third team. I don't think I see Anthony Davis on here either. Anthony Davis didn't make an all NBA team. For all defensive, Paul George made it for us, and then on our second team, we didn't have anybody. I feel like that Drew Holiday, Rudy Gobert pair that we put on the Jazz is actually a decent little squad. We didn't have any rookies, so nobody on the all-rookie team for us. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the playoffs here. We do have the 1 seed, and hopefully, you know, we can sweep through the playoffs, if not just make it easily and win our championship and have our first rebuild be a success. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Mavericks here. I'm surprised they were in the play-in. I do forget that they don't have Kristaps Porzingis anymore. They're starting Spencer Dinwiddie at the power forward. Wow. So the Mavericks, as long as we're able to stop Luka Doncic, I think we should be able to win the game. We have a great advantage at the center position of Towns and Marquise Chris, and then LeBron with Tim Hardaway Jr. So 2 of our better scorers, I think they've got too much of an advantage. I don't think we really have to worry about this series. We should be able to sweep. It may be a gentleman's. But either way, I'm not too worried. Our second round matchup is going to be the Grizzlies. And so let's see if they made any moves during the season. They're pretty much the same team. We got John Morant, who's Donovan. We got John Morant, who's dominant. We've also got Desmond Bane, who's been a really good player this year. He's a sharpshooter. Dylan Brooks, another solid player. Jaren Jackson Jr., and then Steven Adams. I like how we match up, though. I think Donovan Mitchell is a good matchup for John Morant. And I think Paul George and LeBron James are going to be able to score well in this series. So we're going to simulate game 1. They take game 1. Let's view the box score. LeBron put up 53. Let's see who killed us. John Morant. We're going to switch on our defensive settings. We're going to edit our game plan for the Grizzlies, and we're going to have Paul George pick up on John Morant. Nothing against Donovan Mitchell, but it's just that Paul George is a little bit better defender as far as on-ball defense. So we're going to have we're going to make sure that Paul George is the one defending John Morant. And then we're also going to shorten our rotation. We're going to shorten our rotation down to just 8 players. And then we're going to edit the minutes to where now we've got Donovan Mitchell getting 35, Paul George getting 36, LeBron James getting 41. We don't want Earl Jenkins starting, I don't think. I think we want Miles Bridges starting. So we're going to have Miles Bridges starting. And we're going to give this extra minute to Donovan Mitchell. Montrezl Harrell's still going to be our sixth man, I think. And we'll see how this game goes, and then we'll sim another one if need be. So there we go. We're back on it. Let's view the box score here. LeBron with a 40-piece triple-double. Donovan Mitchell backed it up with a 39-point game. Karl-Anthony Towns played extremely well. And Paul George hopefully clamped up. Yes, Paul George clamped up John Morant. 2 for 12 and 0 for 5 from 3. That is exactly what we wanted. So that's why we traded for Paul George, to give us that lockdown defender. He did his job. We got the win. Let's go through the next game. They win it back. So who had the big game this time for him? DeAnthony Melton dropping 35. Okay, so DeAnthony Melton coming off the bench. That's going to be a tough thing to combat. So let's go ahead and let's have Donovan Mitchell picking up DeAnthony Melton whenever he's on the court. Or if there's a way to have possibly Paul George guarding both, depending on which one's on the court at the time, maybe we can do that. I want Paul George on either Melton or Morant at all times. So hopefully I'm able to get that set up to where we can have him guarding both. That's great. So that means whichever one's on the court, we've got Paul George on him. So let's look at this box score. John Morant had 23 on not a very good 9 for 17 shooting. DeAnthony Melton went 4 for 6 off the bench. Jaren Jackson's the other guy giving us trouble. He's got Miles Bridges on him. Let's look at the ratings. I just want to see, as far as interior defense, Miles Bridges got a C+, but we've got Karl-Anthony Towns with a B+, or LeBron James with a A. So let's go ahead and switch Miles Bridges and LeBron James defensively. And I just want to make sure that we get out of this series safely. So I'm going to have LeBron James picking up Jaren Jackson, and then that'll be the last change I make for now. But, we need to make sure that these two guys aren't having big games anymore. Okay, so we're going to simulate the next game. We take the win. LeBron with another big game. Karl-Anthony Towns with a big game. Paul George, Donovan Mitchell. These four guys carrying us. The Grizzlies, John Morant, 14 for 23. It was a 31-point game, but it was on 14 for 23 shooting, which isn't very good. Now we're going to simulate another game, and we're in the conference finals. We're either going to be playing the 6th seed or the 7th seed, which honestly is really nice and good. That's good for us. We see here we're playing the Suns. We tried to trade for multiple people on this team. Cameron Johnson, I think, showed up in one of the trade finders that we were thinking about. Mikal Bridges, we tried to add to a trade piece. Devin Booker was someone we went after, and we weren't able to get them because they think they're a championship contending team. Now they are the 7th seed, so maybe they weren't what they expected to be. At the start of the season, had we went and traded at the trade deadline, we might have been able to get one of those guys, but we're happy with where we're at. So, matchup-wise, on the front court, we beat them handedly. But in the back court, they do have a slight advantage, but I think we're going to be just fine. I think, Paul George is going to be able to clamp up Devin Booker, and then Karl-Anthony Towns will be able to do what he needs to do against Ayton. I like our matchups here. So we're going to simulate the first game. We take game 1, and we took it by 14. Paul George with a 20-point win. This was a win-by-committee game by far. LeBron James with a 19-13 game. As far as they go, Devin Booker had 33 on 11 for 17 shooting. Darius Saric went 5 for 14, which really helped us. He struggled shooting that game, and he took a lot of shots. Game 2 was a win. A 8-point win. Donovan Mitchell dropping 36. LeBron James with another triple-double. Paul George, 25-point game. Montrezl Harrell off the bench was 16, and they struggled to shoot that game. That's exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for those games where we're clamping up. I like good defensive games. We win this game by only 2. Luckily, we were able to get it done. Donovan Mitchell, Karl-Anthony Towns, and LeBron James putting together some big games to win that out. And can we sweep? We do. So we win the final game. Donovan Mitchell with a 29-point game, and now we're in the finals. We're either going to be playing the Philadelphia 76ers or the Milwaukee Bucks. We have the Sixers. Now, if you'll notice, this was one of the teams that I was trying really hard. I wanted James Harden on this team, but we ended up going a different direction. And if I look at our matchups here, Miles Bridges versus Tobias Harris could be a problem. Matisse Thybulle is going to be guarding LeBron James, which is honestly, Matisse Thybulle is a great defender, so that might be good for them. Towns versus Embiid, I think we're going to be okay. Embiid's definitely the better center. But Paul George, Maxey, that's a huge mismatch. And I think Donovan Mitchell is going to be able to score a lot of points with James Harden guarding him. So for now, we're going to stick matchups. If we lose the first game, I'm going to lower the rotation. So we take game 1, and we take it by almost 20. Donovan Mitchell with a 26-point game like I expected he would score well, 5 for 5 from deep. LeBron James with a triple-double. Montrezl Harrell with 21 and 8 off the bench. He's been one of the best bench players that we've had. Again, I said when we traded for him early, you know, he won Sixth Man of the Year a couple years ago. He's a great guy to have on your team, especially coming off the bench. He just gets it done. We held Joel Embiid to 11 for 22, 2 for 6 from deep. So even though he had 35, he was an inefficient 35, which is huge. So we're going to simulate the next game. They take this game. Let's see who hurt us. Joel Embiid, 15 for 30. Can't do anything about that. Tobias Harris did as I expected. So I'm going to put LeBron on Tobias Harris. And then James Harden, I'm going to put Paul George on James Harden. So let's go ahead and make those changes, and then we should be good for the remainder of the series. So first things first, James Harden's going to be guarded by Paul George. And then we're going to get Tobias Harris. We're going to have LeBron on Tobias Harris. And then we should be fine. After that, let me make sure I have Joel Embiid being guarded by Towns. Okay, and then I also want to go in and we're going to adjust the minutes properly. We're going to take a couple off of Bridges, and a couple off of Jenkins. We're going to have Bridges playing 22. Harrell's been playing so good off the bench. I want him to have a couple extra minutes. I want both these guys on the court since they're our two best guards, and I want Paul George on the court a lot since he's our lock. We're going to simulate the next game, and we take it by 11. James Harden had a 41-point game, so, you know, Paul George didn't get the job done there, but Joel Embiid was locked down, and Tobias Harris didn't do anything. LeBron with another huge game. The rest of the guys scoring pretty evenly. Let's go ahead and simulate another game. 3-1 lead, and I think we're going to be able to win this. Tyrese Maxey was the one with the big game. No big deal. These guys both shot very poorly. Embiid didn't do much. And Paul George with 26, Donovan Mitchell with 23 and 8, 23, 6 and 8. We almost had three triple doubles here, which is really good. So we're going to simulate this last game, and hopefully it'll close out the series, and we are the NBA champions. And I think LeBron should definitely get the MVP here. Yes, he does, averaging close to 30. He averaged almost a 30-point triple-double in the finals. Playoff LeBron is hard to beat, shooting 55% from the field, 44% from deep. So there you have it. We were able to take the Lakers, rebuild them. We had Donovan Mitchell, Paul George, LeBron James, Miles Bridges, Karl Anthony Towns, and a solid bench player in Montrezl Harrell, and we were able to go all the way and win the NBA championship. So this is the end of the first rebuild. I'm going to be putting up some other rebuilds, recording those. Now, I want to point out these videos are going to be longer, so we're not going to see them as often on the channel. I'm still going to post them pretty regularly, but the build videos and some of the shorter videos that are, more of what I'm focused on are going to be coming out, and we're going to be bringing these videos out every once in a while. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what team you want to see me rebuild next. And if you enjoyed the video or have any challenge ideas for another rebuilding challenge, please leave those in the comments as well. But with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and you'll have a good rest of your day. Peace.